Man, that guy's got a wild hairdo. Howdy, folks, and welcome to Alchemy Factory. I'll say it right. I've been playing this in the background some. I haven't made a series on it, but it's a fun little factory game. The idea is you have an alchemy shop, and you make stuff and you sell it, and you make more stuff. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm getting ready to redo my shop counter location. So it used to be over here. The cash register would feed into this. So we'll go over all that. I want to build this maybe in a little better fashion over on that end. And then we might start looking into what do we need to get to the next level goal, which is growth potions. If I scroll down the research tree here, I need to get down to growth potion. And let's see, can we research that? No, we need this, it looks like. Yeah, we need to continue across here. So let me get that kicked off. Just start all the research. I've got all kinds of money, so that's not a concern. I was having so much fun optimizing things, I got a little behind on the leveling. But anywho, so the idea is NPCs come in through this door, and they buy stuff on the display shelves, and then they come over here and they pay for it. And then the money goes into this cash register. You see we've got 3,664 copper coins in there. So 1,000 copper coins makes a silver, and I believe 1,000 silver makes a gold. So there you can see some NPCs. They're going to come over here, check out. When we first start the game, you have to manually check them out. You eventually unlock the cash register, and it takes their money. So the money goes into this little tunnel, which goes through the wall, and goes down here, and then it comes into here. So what I want to do is I want to make a setup kind of like I have over here, where I have a box. The money goes out to automatically buy things to craft. That's something else you unlock. So I'm already at like level 6, so this is pretty far into the game. But I want to make a setup kind of like this, where it prioritizes. It always has this box full of cash for the copper to go out. If that's full, it overflows into here, and then that extra stuff gets made into silver and goes into a box. So let's kind of walk through that setup. And I'll kind of relearn how I did this. I set it up. It's been a little while. So they can pay in other denominations besides copper. Occasionally you'll have somebody pay in silver. So we want to go ahead and get a filter splitter. I'm going to put that down. That'll be the first thing here. Then we're going to set that to silver. And I assume at some point they could possibly pay in gold. So I may want to actually redo, I may actually want to do this a little different. Let's put a conveyor belt there. And let's get a couple, let's actually get a couple filter splitters. That one there, one there. This will filter out silver. Oops. Let's go ahead and have this filter out gold. And then we'll make our, one thing I like about this is it's super easy to belt things up. You just kind of drag where you want it to go and it figures it out. So that's nice. All right, so we'll have silver come out the top here, and we'll have gold come out the top there. I believe that's how that works. Double check. So if I put a conveyor there, yeah, we get copper coming out. That's as expected. So we can just belt that copper together, and we'll deal with this in a minute. All right, so we have our copper coming in. So we want our main box that's going to feed our buying chain down there. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a, I've got so much stuff on here, a metal storage box. So we'll have one of those. And that has a double input, so I can actually just do that and they'll all go in there. Let's redo this so it doesn't have a crossover. The conveyor will kind of auto split. The conveyor belts are some of the best I've ever seen in a factory game. We'll have that, and then we leave space so we can get this top stuff out. And to do that, we have to put in these little stands so we can elevate that. So we'll have this stuff come out, and we'll deal with it in a bit. All right, so this is going to be our main money chain going out. Now, I've already messed this up. I want to redo this. Yeah, I've already messed it up. So let's get rid of that. So I do want these to come together. Let's have them go into... Should I go ahead and do the priority splitter? Yeah, let's redo this. I'm kind of making this up as I go. I know what I want to do. It's just a different layout than I had over there. So now we want to have a priority splitter. Have that go there, and then we'll have that go in and that go in. Then this, you can see the yellow arrows on the bottom. This will always send to the bottom if it can. If it can't send to the bottom, then it'll send to the top. So that's what we want. And then I want my my big box, but I need to leave some room so it can get stuff can get around it. So we'll do that. All right, so priority will go in there. So we'll fill this box up with copper, and then that's going to go out and feed our buying. You can see I've got that. It comes all around the outside. If you haven't seen this game before, these portals, purchasing portals, you can say, hey, I want to buy stone or I want to buy wood. You feed money in and you get that resource out. So that's how this is all automatically fed, and it's all running, and we're getting goods made. I hope that makes sense. So our money comes in there, and then it's going to go out basically on the bus, and it'll feed the purchasing. So I think I want to move this over. Yeah, let's have that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Now that one's messed up. There we go. And then we're going to have basically a secondary box here. So if that's full, we want to feed into a thing and make silver. Now I'm wondering if I want to move this box over. I think I do. One thing you never stop optimizing in this game. There we go. We'll have that come in. That'll feed out. Now we need one of these little stands so we can get a conveyor belt on here. And then I want a, do I want another priority? So that filters it out. This is a priority, and then this is going to go into a secondary box, which I think I'll put on possibly one of these. I'm just trying to think of where my box is going to be. Might do this. Nah, I don't need that big of a box. You can just middle mouse click on something to copy it. So yeah, let's just do that. And then for now, I don't care about gold conversion because I think I'm a long ways from having to worry about that. So these two will just feed into that box. So if anybody pays with silver or gold, it'll get filtered out and it'll go into this box. What we're also going to do is take our excess copper and turn it into silver and put it in that box. So that's what I need to work on next. So what I want is another priority splitter. I need to get it down on the other level. Do I have enough room here? If I did that, would that work? I'm just designing this in real time. So once they come out, I want the priority to go into that box. So if it's overflowing, it'll flow back in. That's a little tricky. Now almost makes me want to move that back out because I kind of need it out here. Yeah. Iterate, iterate, iterate. I like modern software development. All right, so then the priority will go back into there. And then we'll have these guys come over. Have you come out. And then, wow, this is going to get really convoluted. There may be a better way to do this. So you can use this to change levels. So we'll do that. And we'll have you come back around and feed into that guy. All right. Now it's going to be easy to like lose track of where we're going. So this priority splitter puts copper in here. If that copper is full, it'll come out the top. It'll go into this overflow splitter, which then says, all right, if some room has opened up in the meantime, put it in here. Otherwise, go into the overflow. It's getting a little convoluted, but I hope it makes sense. Now let's bring you over like that. Your variant set up, and then your overflow is going to come into here, but it needs to go into a chest. I think that'll be enough room, possibly. Then what we need is a conversion chest. So we need one of these guys. A bank portal, it's called. That's getting into my doorway, isn't it? Maybe I could set that up here. You have to have flat ground. Can I put that up there? It's going to get really convoluted. And then this guy is going to turn stuff into silver. So it'll take 1,000 copper, turn it into 1 silver. And yeah, this is getting very convoluted. I was trying to make it compact. It's also a little hard to follow. All right, so that overflow needs to get over there. This needs to come down into here. So let's get one of these boxes. And the silver will come out and it'll go into this box. And then all of our silver and gold will end up in here. Now this needs to get back over to there. So we need to bring in some of this, guys. And we'll do a box here. Change the variant, rotate that around. Sometimes it can get a little, there we go. You have to tell it where you want it to go. That will come around and into there. I think that'll do what I want it to do. So it's a little convoluted, but let's follow the flow again. So money comes in here. It can be either copper, silver, or gold. And then there is a couple of filters down here, which filter out the copper and, or sorry, the silver and gold. And they go directly into that box. Then there's a priority system. So if it can, it'll put copper in here. Actually, let's go grab a bunch of this. So if I take all that out of there, we have no more copper. Put all of that in there. So now that box is full. So they're going to pay. So we should see the copper come out here because this is full. And it'll go into this box. Actually, let's just take this out for now. It should end up in this box. It's going to take a little bit of a journey. But in the meantime, like if I took one of those coins, then some of it will go back in there and the rest will end up in here, in theory. Oh no, it's all on the belt, so it didn't have enough, but it filled the belt up. So now if I take that out, you can see it moves forward. Now that that belt's full, it should send it up here to the box. And there it goes. It's in the box. It's in the box. What's in the box? No, sorry. Distracted. Uh-oh, we had some silver get through. Something's wrong. Did I forget to set one of the filters? Now the problem is I have to delete stuff so I can get to things. No, that's set for silver. That's set for gold. Alright, I messed up something. How did the silver get through? Don't tell me I have to start all over. Yeah, the silver should have went in there, unless I've got the filter things messed up. Alright, I gotta redo some of this because I can't see what's going on. Where did the silver go? See if we get the silver in here. I saw a silver go through. I don't know why this silver came over here, though. Alright, we need to do some testing. Problem is I can't inject stuff in there. Yeah, you didn't put in any copper. Alright, let's temporarily remove this. And I'm going to put some silver through. Meanwhile, I can throw all this back in there so it's not quite so full. And it worked that time. Why was there a silver coin? Why did the one silver coin make it through? Maybe that was just a glitch? I don't know. Let's put our cash register back so we can have people check out. Where is that? That is... Here it is. Here you go, sir. You may check out. Okay, well let's hope that was just a glitch. I don't know why that happened. Get set back up. We'll see if we end up with any silver over here. Just make sure oh yeah, there's a daily summary. I don't care about that right now. So let's go back to our filter splitter. And let's make sure the stuff's going where we think it's going. We have that, and we have that. Oh, I forgot to set the filter, right. Filter on silver. Yeah, so that should send it to the top. It should send it to the yellow arrow. I don't know how the silver got in there. Let's carry on. Let's put our bank box back and we'll set it to convert to silver. Then we can throw that in there. That should go up to the box and get converted into silver. We have 50 silver in there. Let's take all the silver out, actually. So if we end up with any silver, it came through the system. So this should feed in. You can see it's getting ready to tick over to 1,000, and then a silver coin comes out. And it should end up in here. All right, cool. That part's working. Let's see if we can keep it working. All right, you get full. You get full. I'm going to chalk it up to a fluke. Let's move on. And we can throw all our copper in there. All right, now we can get rid of this. I think this should all be emptied out. So I'm going to use my bulk delete tool. Also use the shift key to draw out that. All of you gone. Here we go. Like it never even happened. We get all kinds of stuff back. Now we can draw this out. I could go up and over, actually. Do I want to do that? I could get fancy. How tall can let's see how tall the things can go. Maybe we'll just go over the top. So if I put one of these down, so let me do that. If I put one of these down, oh, you can go all the way up. Interesting. Okay. I have a shelf that I unlocked through a carpenter quest. Where is yield shelf? There it is. Can I put that? I can put that there. Okay. So I could, in theory, go across like that. I need to be here, and I can go up to the shelf. We can go over our door. We'll be all fancy and stuff. Ooh. I've noticed when you clone stuff, it doesn't snap right. So that's interesting. So we'll have to pick it. Problem is I don't have a smaller shelf, so we're gonna have to come over to there. And we have to redo this a little bit. So we need to be here, I think. We really probably want to do this. It's a little hard to tell with the perspective, but I think like that is what we want. And then we'll come out here and around. Then these are all just boxes full of the stuff that stock the shelves. These little flippers, I forget what they're called. Doesn't tell me what they're called. They flip things, so they'll flip over there and they'll just keep all that up to stock. We got all of our basic production going here. All right, now I have to get up top. So let's see if we can get that figured out. Actually, until I know that this works, let's not do that. Somewhere on here, I have some stairs. There they are. I think that's not going to be tall enough. I do that, and then I have this guy. Can I then put a stair on here? No. Okay. And I can do that. Okay. And that's some possibilities. Then if I have this guy, he doesn't have any other forms. We do that, and then we get our stairway up. And our stairway up. Hey, we made some scaffolding. Look at that. All right, and then I need to go back to my... I'm using the scroll wheel to scroll through all the possibilities, and we can go all the way across. There we go. It turns blue if it's connected. Okay, that works. Now we should be able to send coins up and over, and we'll keep feeding our addiction here. This just goes around the perimeter and it feeds all these purchasing portals. We should see some coinage start flowing over there. And then in theory, yeah, we've already got 10 silver in there. Cool. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I think that's working. That's doing what I want it to do. It's a little more compact than it was over here. And we have our big giant doorway still open. I guess I could have probably filled that in with wall. Not even worried about it, but it's cool to use the shelves. So there we go. We redid our purchasing portal. Now I do have some pieces. I kind of wanted to make another room off here for this. I've got a workbench and a bed. The bed lets you sleep through the night. There's a lot to this game. I could make more videos on it if you want to see how things work, but I thought I'd kind of show it off a little bit. If you like factory games, this is a really good one. Let's go through this production chain real quick, just to kind of show off what we got going on. And a lot of this stuff is unlocked at like level, 4 or 5, somewhere in there. So you can't do this level of automation at the very beginning. You have to kind of work your way up. What's up, dude? So we have coinage coming in. This purchasing portal buys logs for 200 copper each. It will try to fill this belt because this belt goes to these 3 table saws. The table saws take the logs and turn them into planks. The planks get merged and then split into these 2, which go up into these crucibles. The crucible takes heat and turns the planks into charcoal. The heat is provided by this stone furnace. So this is kind of a self-feeding mechanism. Once you get it jump-started, it makes its own charcoal, which makes all these stone furnaces under here work to heat all these crucibles. So 6 of these crucibles are just making charcoal. It's not balanced perfectly, but a lot of this changes depending on your upgrades. I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but you can do upgrades which change like your belt speed, your heat efficiency, your fuel efficiency, all that kind of stuff. So it's tricky to balance things because it changes when you spend points. But anyway, planks get turned into charcoal. The charcoal gets ground up into charcoal powder, and then that comes down here, and that feeds all. There's 4 furnaces under here. These next 2, 5 furnaces. These next 2 furnaces are for the stone. So we have a purchasing portal that's buying limestone, which goes to a stone crusher. It's turned into stone. This buys, what's it called? It's just called limestone. And then it gets made into smaller chunks. The smaller chunks come up here and get heated in the crucible, and they get turned into quicklime, I believe. And then again, we have grinders on the end, and it grinds it into quicklime powder. So we have charcoal going to feed the furnaces. We got quicklime powder going down here. Then over on this side, we have the farm, which brings in sage. The sage gets heated up. It turns into plant ash. And these 2 crucibles. We only need 2 because of the balancing down here. So the plant ash and the quicklime powder, they come down here and they go into these 3 assemblers, which are making basic fertilizer. The fertilizer goes out and it goes into these nurseries. And depending on which seed you have on the nursery, it takes fertilizer and turns that into that plant. So these 2 are growing sage, which feeds the plant ash. So it's kind of a self-feeding mechanism. And I've been tweaking this farm. I'm going to have that on the Steam Workshop eventually. It needs a little more testing and refining. I think I've got it in a pretty good spot. So, and then I've got a little bit here just for extra in case I need it to jumpstart other things or whatever. More sage. And then the other 6 plots, or nurseries here, are flax. So it's taken all this flax, and then it has all these grinders. So the flax gets turned into flax fiber, and then it gets turned into various things. So these 2 are getting fed. Yeah, it goes up and around. It gets really convoluted. There's a lot going on here. So the flax fiber gets turned into linen thread. The linen thread gets turned into rope, and that feeds our rope. So that's these 3 grinders here. Sorry, these 3 grinders here. The other 6 grinders are also making flax fiber. They get turned into thread. That thread gets turned into linen cloth in this assembler. Or sorry, this linen. And then the linen goes out. This was an extra that I had some extra linen, so I was feeding it in. We can get rid of that. And then these little boxes are just used for buffers. So then that linen gets taken over and it gets fed into this assembler. So the linen gets combined with a healing potion and gets turned into a bandage, and then the bandage gets sold. The healing potion is getting created by this other farm, which does the normal two sage to feed itself, and then it has 2 sage to make the sage powder, 4 flax to make the flax fiber, Then the flax fiber and the sage powder get turned into healing potions. And then the healing potion has a priority splitter like we use with the coins. It prioritizes feeding the belt that sells the healing potions. If it has extra, it sends it over here. It gets turned into bandages. So that's all my basic production. I guess I didn't go over the little things, but that's the giant automated farm that kind of self-feeds itself. So you plop one of these farms down, you throw 20 charcoal in the first stone furnace, and you throw like either some sage in there. I usually do 20 sage in the box. I'll let these guys fill up so these crucibles are all full, and then I'll throw 20 charcoal in the first stone furnace, which kicks off making charcoal, and then it just feeds itself. All you have to do is give it money. We have some smaller operations over here for small gears, large gears, and mortars, stone mortars. So we have a purchasing portal getting logs, planks. Planks get ground into gears. Some of the large gears go into the large gearbox. The other large gears go over to this processor and get processed into small gears. Same with stone. It buys stone, crushes it up into stone, buys limestone, crushes it up into stone. And then I had some extra stone I was feeding in. It looks like that's done, so I'm going to redo this. So I had basically this whole plot full of stuff. And then I got to the level where I had a lot more automation, and I tore everything down. I've been rebuilding it. That's why I had a bunch of extra. So we'll go ahead and feed this into there now. This processor takes the stone and makes the, what are they called? Mortars. So it will take in, it looks like 10 stone. And it'll start filling this box back up with mortars. And there you go. That's all the basic production. We got money coming in, money going out. We're still at 10 silver, so we don't have a ton of money coming in. It's also nighttime, so I think people have slowed down coming in the shop. Good to go. We got one extra. I didn't have enough room for another, whatever these are called. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Kernel Failure calls them twangers. I kind of like that. I blame Kernel Failure for getting me into this game. I played the demo. It's called a catapult. I played the demo a long time ago. It was on Steam Next Fest, I think. And enjoyed it. And I kind of forgotten about it. And then Kernel Failure started playing it. Yeah, that's it's going to scratch that itch for sure. So if you want to go see some really entertaining gameplay, go check out Kernel Failure. Just like it sounds, Kernel Failure. A lot of you probably know him. Super chill dude, very funny, very entertaining. And he's got, he's way ahead of in the game from me. You can go watch this series and see all kinds of crazy stuff. There we go, we made $3 grand. That'll start ramping back up now that I've got everything moved and we're chugging along. Thanks for watching, folks. Catch you in the next adventure. Take care. You gotta love a game that gives you a screenshot key. Hide that HUD. Should be an option in every game. Just saying.